Thank you so much for coming to our webinar today. This is our Introducing Northbeam Apex webinar. You might have heard about this. You might have heard about Northbeam and you might have heard about Apex. If you have or if you haven't, today we're going to do a quick but deep dive into what Apex is, how it works, why it's important, why that we made this thing in the first place, and hopefully try to answer a lot of the questions that you might have about who can get Apex, how does it work, why have we built this thing. So with us today, we have Briam Kim, product marketing at Meta. Brian, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Brian, and good to be here.
My name is Brian. I'm growth marketing at Northbeam. So I'm here to walk you through this thing. Without further ado, let's get going. So first of all, if you don't know what Northbeam is, we're going to start from the top. If you do, just hang around for a second. We like to think of Northbeam as a new gold standard for omni-channel performance marketers. So Northbeam is a marketing attribution platform for digital advertisers. So through multi-touch attribution and media mix modeling tools that we offer powered by first-party data, Northbeam gives clarity into how your ads are actually performing across channels. So we're talking longer attribution windows. We're talking unified dashboards that actually demonstrate for you, hey, how are your ads performing across channels? What is affecting what? What is your path to conversion? There's a ton of tools in this software. It's more than just a dashboard. It's really incredible first-party data. And if you know anything about marketing at this point, you know that first-party data is the future of where we're going with privacy laws and with, cookie deprecation and all the other various things that are happening in the industry and to our technology. There's a lot I could cover here, but if you want to know more, please go to northbeam.io, check it all out, request a demo, we'll tell you the whole thing, right? We work with a ton of clients. So everybody you see on this list uses Northbeam. It's about 750 brands total. We are tracking in Northbeam $58 billion in attributed revenue. That's off of a $13 billion in ad spend. That's just this year, folks, okay? That's just this stretch of time, 2024, like last 12 months-ish. And that's tracking about 1.1 trillion impressions across all of our clients. So we have a crazy huge view into the industry, into direct-to-consumer. We're working with a ton of brands that are really, really progressive in this space and doing a lot of really incredible work. People like The Ridge, Kizik, Jackson, Mudwater, Dermatology, Dollar Shave Club, like brands like this are really killing it in the modern e-commerce space in the post-COVID world. And we love working with them and they love working with us. So you might be asking yourself, well, what kind of brands actually need Northbeam? Like, why would I need this, right? I always like to say, if you are running direct-to-consumer ads, if you're running performance marketing ads, and you're reaching a point where your Google spreadsheets are not doing it for you, where you're looking at the data and you know that patterns are happening that are not reflected in your data, then it's time to call us. So Northbeam is great for D2C focused brands who have really well-established e-commerce channels. Maybe you have complex customer journeys, or you have really long consideration cycles, or you have really high AOV products. You're often not served properly by limited attribution windows, or let's say you have a 6 or 8 month consideration cycle, right? That's really, really tough to track with the existing platforms that are available to you or the existing analytics tools. That's where Northbeam can come in, right? I also like to say we like to work with innovative marketers. So if you're someone trying to be on the cutting edge of marketing, or you're someone trying to level up and do really competitive, smart, efficient, and capital P profitable marketing, Northbeam data can give you the views and the understanding that you really need to run really powerful creative tests. So that's who we're for, and that's what we're about. So now I want to talk a little bit about Northbeam Apex. So Northbeam Apex is our new solution, our new integration that we've created with Meta. We've been working on this for months and months now. We took it to market just a couple of weeks ago, and we'll get into the details of exactly what this is, how it works, and why we've built this thing. But first, I want to add a little bit of context to this conversation. Apex is a direct integration between Northbeam and Meta. So what this means is that Northbeam is sending first-party data to Meta, which Meta's ad delivery algorithms can use to optimize for better conversions, higher value conversions, whatever it might be, right? So this is a little different than an enrichment platform or a conversion tracking platform or some sort of matching tool, right? We are passing back aggregated first-party data to Meta, which then Meta is able to use in its algorithms, right? So this is not a replacement. This is not an enrichment tool. This is a totally different way of thinking about how your ads are being delivered, and it's a totally different set of what I like to describe as signals for Meta to use when they're optimizing for conversions of all of your ad campaigns, right? So if that doesn't make sense, hang with me. We're gonna get into the details. But first, I want to pass it over to Brian Kim to talk a little bit about why we built this thing. So, Brian, can you talk a little bit about why Meta wanted to pursue Apex and how we got to this point, and where Meta sees the future of attribution and valuing conversions?
Yeah, thanks, Brian. And again, happy to be here, everyone. So I'll start with speaking about the vision for all of this work that we're doing, and why we wanted to work with Northbeam. So for anyone following the dialogue at Meta, you'll know how central AI is to our company. I think it's no surprise. And in fact, yesterday was Meta Connect, and we highlighted some really exciting advancements in Meta and business AIs, along with some hardware such as the Ray-Ban glasses and Orion. I won't go too much into those here, but definitely recommend you all watching up and catching up on that. Pretty cool stuff. And so when it comes to AI and advertising, the future we see is one where our leading AI and automation really allows any business to reach their specific goals and optimize for the things that they value most. And so as part of our work to build that future, we recently announced some new ways that businesses can customize their campaigns by more precisely sharing what they value with Meta. And also we announced changes to improve our ad system overall to deliver more of that value. And ultimately, these are all designed to get us to a place where we're able to provide customized optimizations for each individual advertiser. So I know that sounds like a very aspirational statement, and frankly it is, but it's the North Star that we're shooting for and where we ultimately want to get. So that's the vision. Now, if you think about how our system has worked historically, it's largely operated with the view of the marketing that happens on Meta. A lot of times people talk about how platforms are walled gardens. Yet we know that a lot of businesses like you all advertise on multiple channels, multiple platforms, including search, TikTok, and so on. And you'll use solutions like Northbeam to understand performance across this entire marketing mix, or this omni-channel view, as Brian mentioned. And so we wanted to build integrations like Apex in order to gain a window into how you all view what is and isn't working for your business, rather than just relying on our own view of the world here at Meta. And so to the extent that these perspectives differ, that's really important information for us to bring back into our system so that our AI can learn from that, become even smarter for each of you, and deliver more of those ads that drive the most value for your businesses and less of the ads that don't. So to put it plainly in another way, the integration Apex allows you all to share what you think works best for you, which will help our AI at Meta, fine-tune campaign optimization over time for your business. And so at the end of the day, we want to get our system to a place where it delivers the most value to you in the ways that you specifically think about it. And these integrations are about meeting you all where you are specifically and trying to deliver the most value wherever that may be. Now, that's not all we're doing. In the recent announcement I mentioned, we do talk about some of the other ways we're going to be giving advertisers more options to drive value. And I would recommend folks to read up on some of these changes. And ultimately, by offering these portfolio of options, we want to empower you all, the advertisers, to drive the performance and to be able to get the performance that you really value in ways that you understand through measurements that you use, and also can then turn into more informed decisions, which then turns into this positive self-reinforcing feedback loop to drive better performance, and so on and so forth. And so that's a little bit about our vision at Meta, why we're doing these integrations. So I'll pass back to you, Brian.
Hey, thanks a lot. Yeah, this was really exciting for us because that increased value is something we at Northbeam, like the increased value by conversion, like helping people target what they're actually prioritizing for their specific business, right? Because everybody's advertising plan is entirely different. Everyone's path to conversion is a little bit different. So there's not like a one size fits all for every advertiser, right? So if this is exciting for us because this just brings us closer to doing that. And so in a sense, like Northbeam and Meta's hands, like we share the same goals here, right? So that's why this integration is so thrilling for us, and that's why I'm very excited about the results that are farther down in this deck. But this is not the only integration that Meta is going to be pursuing. Like Northbeam is just one of the first that Meta is able to work with. Can you speak to it all as to why Northbeam was one of the first choices for starting this movement towards like let's integrate with analytics partners in order to provide that value?
Yeah, sure. So that's right. We are working on other integrations. I wanted to try to keep it just to Northbeam in this call for the benefit of you all, but happy to talk to why. So when we select partners and potential partners to work with, we look at a few things. We look at their solution set and how it aligns with our priorities at Meta. We look at market demand. We also look at existing mutual clients, as well as the potential partner's ability to innovate with us and drive scale. And so if I think about some of these things, looking at your solution set and how it aligns with our priorities, the fact that you all are working towards really getting this omni-channel full marketing view and driving really good understanding of what's driving performance and how to get the most out of that, we're very much aligned with that in the vision that I talked about. And speaking about market demand and existing mutual clients, you look through that list of clients that you listed, and I know all of you, a lot of you have a meta rep that you either love or hate, but you are all involved with meta rep, right? And then looking at the ability to innovate with us and drive scale, the numbers you posted speak for themselves, right? The scale is there. Just in working with you this year, the speed with which you are willing to partner and innovate has been much appreciated on our side. And so as I look at all those criteria, you all check all those boxes, and that's why we decided to work with Northbeam.
Thanks, man. I'm so stoked. Let's show them this thing. Let's show them how it works because like there's like a little bit of a too good to be true moment like multiple times in this deck. So I want to get in and demonstrate for everyone here as to like why we're so excited for this and like the results that we've seen thus far with the tests that we've run. So before we get into that, like thank you so much, man. I appreciate you. If anybody has questions, remember, put them in the chat and send them to us, and we'll try and answer them in the moment. I've got Drew here helping us out. So without further ado, explaining once again how Apex works. So I want to be clear. What's happening here is we're passing aggregated ad level performance data back to Meta. This is giving Meta that wider context and how your ads are performing in the wider context of your entire spend in all of your channels, which allows Meta to optimize, hey, like we have this additional signal as to how things are happening outside of Meta. What are your goals as an advertiser? Can we adjust your ad trafficking and your ad delivery to speak to that, right? So this is not a full replacement to that data. This is just an additional signal. And if you're a data scientist or you know anything about data, analytics or data science in general, you know that increased signal almost always allows for better accuracy. And so that's what we're getting to here, right? You're adding another layer on top of Meta's already like really amazing algorithm, which we already know is really amazing. We already know it's one of the highest converting ad platforms out there, period. And now you're just adding another layer of context on top of it for that algorithm to just be even stronger. It's like really amazing. So this is specifically how that works. If you have any more questions, let us know. I'm going to try and keep an eye on the comments here. All right. We ran a closed beta because I know you're all going to say, all right, I get how this thing works, but you need to show me the numbers. You need to show me that this thing works, that you tested it. What are the results? Well, we didn't want to just share this thing with everybody without testing it first, right? So we ran a closed beta in June 2024. We got 25 brands together. We activated Apex and we did a test. We set up an A/B test where they made two identical campaigns. They could pick whatever ads they want. They could run off existing campaigns. They could pick whatever conversion goals they wanted, whatever they wanted. But they set up two identical campaigns with their own ads, each client did. And then they ran an A/B test. One campaign was powered by Apex and another campaign was not. The aggregated results from across all of those clients when comparing the control campaigns versus the Apex campaigns were like frankly stunning and almost unanimous. So just the aggregated results from across these campaigns, you saw a 34% increase in conversion rate, a 15% increase in blended ROAS, almost a 13% drop in customer acquisition costs, and almost a 17% increase in new customer ROAS. We ran these tests for like 2 weeks plus. Some people ran them for longer, some people ran them for shorter, but across all the tests, these were the results. So it's pretty stunning, and we were like, all right, so we know that this works. We know that this is a significant change in how your Meta account is going to behave, and we know there's great opportunity for results here, right? So how exactly was this thing working? Well, what was happening was spend was being distributed differently between the control and the test campaigns. So I'm going to get really detailed here. This one's for the media buyers in the room. But if you look here at the top is the control and below is the test. So you could see based on Meta reported ROAS and Northbeam reported ROAS that the Apex campaigns were optimizing more towards the Northbeam reported ROAS than the Meta reported ROAS. This is not really anything other than a demonstration that that is what's happening kind of underneath the hood with your campaigns. So like when you turn Apex on, we have proof based on how the spend was distributed that this is kind of what was happening underneath, right? This is not to say that the Meta reported ROAS is not accurate or that the Northbeam reported ROAS is accurate. This is not saying that. This is just demonstrating how the spend was being distributed across the campaigns. Now, we can look again at the wider aggregated Apex results. So this is that test, okay? It's about $1.5 million in ad spend. There's about 8 different industries covered and 25 brands. So everybody from people who are really strongly last click focused all the way over to brands that maybe have really long consideration cycles and high AOVs. The column off to the right is what I want to look at here. This is called the win rate. So you could see the metrics went great, fantastic across most of these brands. The averages and the medians are really great, which shows that there's some huge outliers, right? So some brands were seeing a 400%, while other brands were seeing a 20% increase, right? In let's say new customer ROAS or whatever. But what's most important over here is the win rate, which demonstrates that in almost all cases, every single brand that turned Apex on saw some sort of improvement in their metrics. So for example, like the click-through rate, 70% of the brands, 73% of the brands involved in this test saw an improvement in their click-through rate. Going down to cost per order, 94% of the brands involved saw a reduction in the cost per order when they turned on Apex. To me, this is really important because we did not want to bring something to market. You know, you heard Brian speak about the aspirations of what we want to provide. We do not want to bring something to market unless we know it's absolutely going to crush. That we know that we are going to put all of our trust behind it because you're putting your trust behind it because we have, you know, like these meta ads, it's our lives, right? It's our livelihood, it's our career. We need to be sure that this worked. And so we were really excited by the results of this test because it demonstrated that for most advertisers, there was going to be some type of improvement. Now, anecdotally, what you saw, where you saw the improvements depends a lot on kind of what was happening in your ad account and kind of like how you were driving people to conversion. But these results demonstrated to us like, hey, this is a really great thing for us to bring to market. We think we can get unanimous success with this. We think that people can have a lot of success, that they can approach their Meta accounts differently, and that they can feel like, yes, my Meta ads are part of this larger tapestry of my campaigns, and I know that they're behaving, that my conversion objectives are exactly what I want them to be, part of this like larger whole, right? Percent of mix, I think we were talking about that previous slide. I got a question here from Connor, or from Daniel. The percent of mix on the previous slide here, which if I can go back, maybe I can go back. That's the budget. That's how the budget is distributed across the the control ads and the test ads in this example, this anonymous example. A question from Connor: is Northbeam more accurate or powerful than Triple Whale or Wicked reports? Why don't you just go to northbeam.io/demo, request a demo, and ask one of our salespeople that, and they'll give you the entire rundown. I can't even get into all of it on this call. All right, so we've talked about the aggregate results of who saw success with this beta campaign, with Apex and doing it in beta, but I want to talk about a specific winner. So Kizik has been a friend of Northbeam for a long time. They were part of this test. I would love to show you some of this data from the beta. Straight up, really happy with what they saw here. I also have results that are post-beta, so stay tuned for that. Kizik is a really innovative brand that participated in the beta. They saw personally a 60% ROAS increase and an 11% CAC reduction based on our reporting. They loved this so much that Jesse was willing to, one, write up this testimonial, and two, have me read it on this webinar because this was such a huge shock to the system in the right way for them. So Kizik is very meta focused. They run a lot of campaigns there. They're very, very, I would say, mature advertisers there. They have a lot of nuance. They run a lot of creative tests and experiments. Jesse described this literally as a game changer. So we have been working with them for a long time. When we approached Kizik and we said, hey, we have this opportunity for you. You're friends of us. We want to give you the ability to try this. We believe it'll work for you. It translated into hundreds of thousands of dollars of savings just during this beta test. It was really shocking. They're really, really thrilled with these results. They're not one of the only brands. And seeing their ROAS increase as well as seeing their cost per acquisition drop is this like too good to be true moment when you talk about a mature advertiser achieving these sort of double-digit improvements in efficiency in both directions. But that is the power of the signal that we're talking about here. That's why we're coming on this webinar right now and sharing all this stuff with you. That's why Brian's here. That's why Meta is big on this, is because this can be that shock to the system that can set a new normal for your ad account. If maybe you've been stuck in a spot for a long time, or maybe your brand is super mature and you don't feel like you can find that incremental space anymore on Meta, and you want to look at it and approach these campaigns in a different way. So Jesse's not the only one that saw success. You said, okay, great. You know, Brian, you ran a beta and it was great. That's perfectly fine. But what about this thing in market? We've had Apex available in market now for a couple of weeks. I think maybe 2 full months. And we went back and we said, all right, well, can we evaluate whether or not brands that have Apex activated outside of the beta in the open market, what kind of lift they're seeing across their metrics? Can we be sure, you know, now that we've let it loose and we've allowed people to just use this day to day and run wild, can we be sure that these results are as good as we say? These are the average results from teams who activate Apex. Across everyone who's turned on Apex for their Meta accounts, we're seeing an almost 8% revenue lift from the exact same campaigns. They've just turned it on. It runs on their same campaigns. It all happens under the hood, right? A 10% increased Meta ROAS, which is amazing. So this is not just Meta reported. This is actual ROAS generated by Meta. First-time customers, one of my favorite metrics, you know, up 10%. New customer revenue up 8%. These are very large, mature brands that have access to Apex. We don't have it available to everyone. So these are very large, mature brands finding sometimes double digits improvements in their metrics. That to me is where the cutting edge for Apex is, where you have an account that you feel like you have optimized to the nth degree and you still can't find a little bit more. You need to find a little bit more every single month, every single year. That to me is where Apex can be really powerful. So there are limitations to this. We'll talk about this over time. But right now, Northbeam Apex is available for all enterprise customers, enterprise Northbeam customers at no additional cost. So we're not going to nickel and dime you on this thing, but you do need to be part of the enterprise level Northbeam account in order to have access. There's a lot of reasons for this. Apex is very intense. You know, we're looking for people who are all in on Meta, where it has a high cost data processing wise for both Meta and us. We want to be sure that the accounts that are turning this on, that we can support you properly when you're activating it, right? The changes that it will bring to your Meta account can be surprising. It can be different. It's a new normal, right? So we want to be sure that the brands that are turning this on are able to properly understand what's happening and adjust to that new normal and feel the success that you all want, that both of the Bryans here are dedicated to bringing to your team. So that is why this is not available to everyone at this time. I know that's frustrating for certain people, but we have a standard of quality that we want to deliver as a team, and we had a standard of quality that we wanted to bring when we put this thing together. And that's why, rather than letting it loose on everyone and just hoping that everyone could figure it out, we said, all right, we're going to be really specific about who we're bringing this to and why. Now, there is some good news in here. If you have Apex, there's literally no development work required. You've probably seen me, or gotten ads from me, or seen a subject line via an email from me that says skyrocket your meta ROAS with the press of a button. It is quite literally the press of a button, or more literally the flip of a switch. There's no development work required here. You'll go into your backend on Northbeam. Once you've requested Apex, you're part of the enterprise team, you're ready to do it, and you'll flip a switch. When you flip that switch, everything happens on the backend. Apex is applied. You don't need to rebuild your accounts. You don't need to rebuild your campaigns. You don't need to do any of that stuff. Everything can stay as it is. But what will happen is you'll cross a threshold where all of a sudden the way your ads are trafficked are going to be different. This means that you can use any attribution settings. You can do whatever you want to your ad accounts. But it does mean that there's not really any additional work required, which to me as a marketer is amazing, because I, get to reap the benefits of this on my account without having to do any additional work. And then for me as a marketer from Northbeam, I get to say, you see this increased improvement with the flip of a switch, right? Which is always a fun thing to say, but it's literally true. It's literally true. So this is what happens on the back end when you go on and you're trying to activate Apex. So there are some more details, because this is not, all too good to be true. So first of all, you really got to be committed to advertising on Meta. These results can be intense, as I mentioned, far from normal performance. We want teams activating Apex who are prepared for that and are ready for that. That's going to come with new results for your campaigns. It's going to result in things you're not expecting to see. Also, as I mentioned, brands must be enterprise level Northbeam users. You can't buy Apex a la carte, for example, because what this is we're generating Northbeam first party data that's being, for your brand, a completely new set of data. That's what's inside our Northbeam MTA, and that's what's being passed back to Meta. So you can't really just kind of show up and buy this magic solution. It's part of the Northbeam wider set. So you've got to get on Northbeam, you've got to have Northbeam MTA data, and most importantly, you need to be fully onboarded with Northbeam. I've had a lot of people be like, I want Apex, just give it to me. And they'll pay whatever, and they're like, how come it doesn't work right now? It's because the complexity of your setup, depending how long it takes you to onboard with Northbeam, this could take 4 to 6 weeks before your data that you've built is in a statistically significant place that you can feel comfortable actually passing that back to Meta. So this is not some thing that you can just buy and flip on overnight. If you are looking at this for Black Friday, you need to call me now. You need to go to northbeam.io/Apex and request a demo now. Because given the way that some teams take to activate and how long it takes for data to process, if you want Black Friday, Cyber Monday performance, which, by the way, shout out to a webinar happening next week on this, go to our website to sign up for that. It's going to be a really weird Black Friday, Cyber Monday. If you want Apex for that period of time, if you're going to be doing day trading, if you're going to be using Northbeam Afterburner to run and optimize your ads like by the hour, then we need to turn Apex on immediately for you. It is almost too late. Go and request this right now. Ping us, DM us, message us, and I'll make sure that you end up at the top of the pile and can get on with the sales team ASAP. So that's some of the stipulations and I want to make that really clear for everyone here who's now, having watched this webinar that we worked so hard on, so excited to call us and get a part of this, right? So just want to say thank you for everyone for coming to this. I'm going to take some time here to look at some questions. Please put them in the chat, send them to us. I have some questions here. Brian and I will try and answer them. But yes, I have one question. Apex, is it for customers, for starter, or for growth, or for performance packages or professional packages? No. This is only for enterprise at this time. Now you can get access to enterprise if you want. You can. You can just call and say, hey, I want that. I want to be part of that. But what comes with enterprise is a level of service that allows us to guarantee that Apex works for you. So even though you might not feel like an enterprise brand, if you are willing and understand the value that Apex can bring to your account, please call us. We'll have a conversation with you and we could set that up. So I got another question here. The Kizik testimonial fella said that Apex is saving them about 100K. Why wouldn't they instead keep spending up to their prior max CPA? That's because we said, you're running a test. We need to know how much money you're saving, right? Or we need to know how things are performing. It was kind of funny when we activated these tests. So many of the brands saw amazing results. They said, oh my God, turn it on for the rest of our account right now. And I said, whoa, 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 like slow your roll, right? Like we need to be sure that this is working properly. We're not just going to turn it on. This was a beta test. We need to be able to demonstrate to the crowd and also to the clients themselves and to us that this was working properly. So after the test, yes, they would absolutely just keep spending up to a higher CPA. That's what's happening with everyone else who has it activated right now. But that's to answer your question about why they wouldn't have kept spending. It's because I said, no, it's a test. You have to leave it exactly where it's at. I got another question here from Triple Whale, and they're pushing their sonar product. Here's the thing. Triple Whale's data and Northbeam's data are not the same. I think a lot of people would love to say that they are the same. They are not the same. What we're doing here is we're creating what we like to think is the strongest machine learning and AI supported set of ad attribution data that exists in the market. I would really like to find somebody's data who's more consistent, that tracks more touch points, that is more accurate and more equal parts deterministic and probabilistic, right? So here's the thing. You can go and you could get sonar, but you are not using Northbeam data at that point. You're using something else, you know? Looking back, if you want to be alongside brands of this level of quality that trust our data every single day for what they're doing, then you should probably use Apex over sonar. That's all I can say about that. I can't see into their technical details. I can't tell you what's happening on the back end. What I can tell you here is that we are partnering with Meta. We have this integration. These clients are trusting Northbeam data. The results speak for themselves from these independent tests. We have testimonials. We have tons of people calling our phone every single day being like, can you turn this on yesterday? That is the difference. That's the difference. If you are serious about your growth, if you're serious about intense results, this is where you're going to get that. I'm not going to rush anything to market. That's why this is exclusive. That's why this costs what it costs, is because it works. So if that's what you're interested in, you can give us a call. All right, I got one last question. How is Apex different from platforms like Elevar and Upstack? So I'm going to touch on this again. Where's my nice little slide on this? This one. So we are not enriching specific conversions. What a lot of these tools are doing is they're enriching conversions, which is really helpful because you're getting that additional data points, right, on specific user and individual level data. That's super huge. That's really helpful. That's why so many people trust the conversion API. I mean, I've used it forever. Love this, right? What this is a totally different set of data, a totally different set of signal based on what Northbeam is able to track from the rest of your ad accounts, right? We're providing aggregate ad level performance from across your entire marketing spend back to Meta so that Meta's algorithm has additional signal to optimize against. So we are not improving individual level numbers, we're providing this wider context on, okay, not just how did this individual get to an ad or what touch points did they have on the way to a conversion. We're adding this additional layer of context from all of your spend across all of your channels. And Meta is able to use that alongside your conversions API data to further focus down on what Brian said, the conversions that matter to you, the value that you want to get out of your conversions, right? So that's how this is different. So it's not a replacement. It's not a standalone. We found that this works best when you use them side by side, because what you want to do, if you think about it, is you're trying to provide additional data to a machine learning model. You know, Meta is trying to provide for you the strongest conversions that it possibly can that you've asked for as an advertiser. The best way you can do that is by adding as much signal as possible into the machine, because the more context it has, the better it's going to perform for you. I trust it. I love it. When we started bringing up Apex to these advertisers and started saying, hey, this is what we can do, the amount of people who said, turn it on right now, I'll take it right now, because they understand that nuance, was really surprising, but also really exciting. This is your last chance for questions. I'm going to wrap it up. We're coming up on time. Thank you all so much for being here. I'm going to provide a couple shout outs now. Shout out to Briam Kim and Meta for joining this webinar. Thank you so much, Brian, for being here.
Thanks for having me. And again, appreciate everyone making the time to be a part of this. Any questions specific about Meta, definitely reach out to your Meta rep who can share more.
If you have any questions for us or our team, please go to northbeam.io, request-northbeam-apex. You can book a time right on the spot right there. We'll show you more under the hood. We have more case studies. We have more data. We can answer your technical questions. We have tons of really intense, confusing documentation docs that your team can look at if you really want to see how this is working under the hood. We're really excited to formally bring this to the world. Thank you all so much for being here. Last shout out, we have another webinar next week. We're doing our annual Black Friday, Cyber Monday strategy webinar. It's going to be fast. It's going to be cool. We're going to have a lot of exclusive data. Please join me and Braden from our team at that next week. You can sign up for that on our website. Check any of our socials and you'll find the link, no problem. Also, there's the strategy session right there shared in the chat. So if you have no further questions, thank you all so much for being here. This recording will be posted just very shortly. And yeah, request to Northbeam today. And I hope to see you all using Apex and winning soon.